Now I would kindly like to open the floor for questions or comments. So if you have something to say, please introduce who you are, where you're from. I see already the first hand. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 mics here in the front. So 2 hands already. So either if somebody will bring you the mic, there's some assistants coming. So there's a gentleman in the last row, and there also was one more, the second gentleman with the green shirt here, T-shirt here, please. So introduce yourself, the institution, and pose a question or comment. The gentleman in the last row is number 1. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Marek Maciejowski. I'm director of the Secretariat of the Northern Dimension Partnership in Public Health and Social Wellbeing, and we are one of the priority area coordinators for health. Now I have one comment which I would like to ask that the panel would respond to, and that is about aligning of financial resources with the strategy's priorities. Looking at the programming of the forthcoming Baltic Sea region program, I can see that there is a strong trend to focus resources on issues such as energy, transport, natural resources in general. And then, of course, you have innovation as one of those 3 pillars. Now, my question to the panel is, how would you assure the PACs, like our PAC, responsible for health, that we will in fact be able to benefit from those financial resources made available for the implementation of the strategy in the situation that vast majority of funding is supposed to go to those 2 pillars, which are only 1, 2, 3, a couple of priority areas within the whole strategy. So that would be my comment, which is also including a question.
Would you frame just a question and pick the winner, since our time resources are kind of
my point is to make it in a very simple way. I feel that there is a number of priority areas, meaning priorities in the strategy, that will be trying to secure funding for their activities during the forthcoming programming period, but yet it will be difficult for them to find this funding in the situation that they are in fact outed from the big picture, such as the Baltic Sea region program and its priorities. I'm not sure if I made myself clear.
Who would like to answer? Maybe the Minister of Finance?
Well, it is not only about Ministry of Finance, it is very much a political decision about priorities, where funding should go. And I'm just saying this, the Baltic Sea program is just an example. We are talking about the whole region and many instruments that we have here.
Okay, I see.
So you choose, and maybe there is a bold speaker on the panel.
Your question sort of reminds me always, one of my favorite movies, Brother Cohen's Big Lebowski. There's this line, where is the money, Lebowski? So if anybody would like to answer, anybody, I mean, not necessarily everyone in line, but anybody would like to answer on that comment, that would be really great. But wants to shed some light?
Everyone's looking at me, or no? Ladies first.
No, Minister first, absolutely, and then I will go.
Okay. Gender equality revised.
Well, just to be very brief, of course, there are very many priorities within the state, within the particular state. And when we are talking about no additional finance, this means that we must move with the resources that we do have within the country. And in the country, of course, we have national priorities. Of course, we have also Baltic or regional or European priorities as well. And you must somehow distribute the money that you have, it is limited financial resource, to all the priorities. This is what we are doing annually at the Ministry of Finance when designing our next year's budget. This is the work that is ongoing just now. And here you have, of course, this fight between different actors that represent different priorities. As the endless story, absolutely endless story. The only thing that would justify the reality that you told about is that infrastructural projects, they require much more money than soft projects, and the healthcare projects are usually soft ones and they are cheaper, so they suffer a bit because you must collect resources and then concentrate them upon very huge objects to have something happen with these objects. So nevertheless, I think we must keep in mind all the priorities. We must not concentrate upon one of them, and the way towards this is, so to say, telling people about different priorities from different sides, just keeping people aware that there are different things that need money. So I see no other way. Unfortunately, I'm not very optimistic about healthcare system getting much more money than it has in the projects now. But perhaps you have another recipe.
Lowri, you also raised your hand. You have something to say, right?
I think I'm going to be remarkably coherent with the Minister. There is a lot of money available, public funding money, in the next period. And the trick is to see what is the political priority. And the overarching political priority, for sure, is to create more jobs and more growth than we did in this current period and in the previous period. And the Minister and the other politicians have tough choices now. They will have to, we are asking the Minister to change the priorities that were taken historically.
And he's very reluctant to do
and to produce more than we did in the past. But we have a couple of extra insights now than we had before, I think. One is that we have a better understanding of financial instruments. We can leverage more out of this money than we did with the previous money because we understand financial instruments better. This means probably more lending, less grants in a very simplistic sort of way. And also joining up the instruments in a better way. So no more silos. So no more this for agriculture, this for regional, this for, God forbid, fish. We have to make it all add up together in the same way. And we have a couple of things like we really understand how important it is to invest in the human dimension, Minister, I think. The skills, the future technology requirements. I'm really convinced we will get that right. And I think for the health sector in particular, focusing on that can be a very good news story. And then the research instrument, the Horizon 2020 instrument. I think there's a really great potential instrument there for the health sector if it's done in a policy-oriented way.
Okay, thank you, Lowri. And I saw one more hand. If you could get the microphone, please. Oh, you have the microphone. Great. Just make a concise question or comment, okay?
All right. So, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jalal, and I'm representing the Baltic University program from Helsinki Metropolitan University of Applied Sciences, Finland. And my question is to Helena and Lowri about the possibilities and opportunities of communication for low-level and individual-level scientists to bring up the innovations and revolutionary technologies to such a higher-level organization like European Union. For example, in private sector, you can see a mobile app getting into the science market every day. But when it comes to a higher-level organization like European Union, it becomes so complicated and difficult for individuals like me and many other innovators to bring up their innovation and great ideas of technology for the implementation of such a complicated place like Baltic Sea, surrounded by so many different borders.
Okay.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. So more innovation and education in the EU, which is seen perhaps as a sort of red tape-ish and precludes the arrival of those bright innovations and ideas. Isn't that not so? Helena and Lowri, I guess you were addressed. So.
Well, first of all, innovation, of course, is extremely important, and new knowledge and research. Horizon 2020 was mentioned here. It's important also in the area of security and safety, and actually MSB is an investor in research, and we try to help young researchers in Sweden to find financing via the Horizon 2020 program. We try to create networks of researchers enterprise businesses that are into new technologies and to bring them together to see what can we get out of that for building more resilient society. But yes, you are right. It is complex to navigate. It's complex to navigate even in your own country. So how to create this, well, open up the market, so to say, for everyone to come in. Something that we could clearly discuss in the civil protection family in the European Union, and we are doing that at the DG's meeting under DG ECHO.
Okay, thank you. Lowri, please.
Okay, very short, because it's not my speciality area, so I'm going to have to come at it from first principles. First thing is, I think you have to go through your national structures. That's the reality. So you go through your regional and national structures, like Helen has just said. That's tip number one. And then thought number two is, perhaps just don't think in terms of science alone. Build collaborations with business already. I mean, at the European level, what we're trying to do is, again, a shift in this period. We're trying to move science closer to the market. So the more relevant your science is in terms of needing help to bring to the market, the more doors you will find opening, I think.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any more hands. Oh, okay, the last one. Then I will have to close this plenary session because we will have only a 15-minute break. But yes, please, the last question or comment.
Yeah, thank you for having the voice, taking the gender action here after all guys here. I'd like to put a question for the young ones, connecting yesterday with tomorrow. I'm Akko Karlsson, from Vice President of the Regional Council of Kalmar, and I want to encourage all of us to take part in the volunteer program for exchange of youth across Baltic Sea in between our countries, both in the public, in the private sector and in the NGO sector. And I had a rapid task for you to answer yes or no. Will you on the panel encourage and stand up for the young ones, because we have a demographic challenge in all of our countries, with young ones going abroad to major towns, to cities, and we have a fantastic rural area which has to be taken care of and developed as well. So easy yes and no. And I also want to give you a tip that on this Facebook website is now for public the Moment Project reports from our fantastic work, and I want to make my gratitude to all our partners in the Moment Project, which is a fantastic multi-level governance work. So thank you for a cleaner Baltic Sea, for a step forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then you would need a short series of yes and no, or you would also need an answer how. Anybody would like to comment on that? Oscar, maybe you? Maybe it's not your cup of tea.
No, but it's an excellent idea. Of course, I mean, you mentioned volunteering. I think that's a typical way of connecting the region. I mean, young people going to all the countries with the aim of maybe coming back, but actually seeing how different countries work, how different structures work, testing workers, studying all different countries and all these kind of things. And that's, I think, one of the things that we need to work more on, not less, if we are to connect and create some kind of Baltic identity as well, which is also needed if this is to succeed.
Okay, I would like to thank distinguished panelists, and I would like to ask you to thank them too.